Hello there and welcome back to my channel. Today, what's that? I've got something, is it right here? What about my lip color? Hold on, let me get my mirror. Oh my word. What a disaster. Has this ever happened to you? Hopefully not all of these things at once, but today I'm going to be sharing with you how to fix 10 common makeup mistakes without starting all over. Most of us don't encounter all 10 at once. If we did, we probably should wash our face and start over because it would be quicker. But many times you can have one or two of these things happen, and it's really good and helpful to know how to fix them. So we're going to fix all of these things on my face, and we're going to do it without washing and starting over. So what are we looking at here? The obvious, obviously we've got mascara everywhere. We've got a lip color that is the complete wrong shade and way too bright. We've also gone outside the lip line with a pretty staining lip liner. We've got blush that is not only the wrong tone, but way too intense. We've got really dark and intense eyebrows. We've got eyeshadow that is not blended properly, and so the hood of my eye is really just hiding all of that shadow. And then here in the inner part, we have this gold shadow that is just a little too intense. It's just the wrong tone for kind of the overall look. And then finally, my foundation color. Now it's a little hard to tell. You can probably see this line of demarcation. It's a little dark up here and a little lighter down here. So I'm gonna show you what to do to fix that as well. So we're gonna start off with the most distracting and something that is important in order for us to then fix our eyeshadow, and that is mascara. Now, the common misconception is that you need to wipe away mascara when it's wet. That's actually not what you want to do. You do want to let it dry completely. But then you don't want to go in with any kind of makeup remover, because that's obviously going to take away your concealer and your foundation and all that. So if we don't have to, we're not going to. So we're going to take a cotton bud or a Q-tip, whatever you call it. So I like to take them and kind of rough it up, because you kind of want a little bit of a fuzzy tip. That helps. All right, so we're gonna start off with this, and what you're gonna do is just lightly roll over the mascara, and you'll see it's already picking it up on the Q-tip. And we're just lightly lifting it off the skin. And then you can brush away. You can also take a little fluffy brush. Just make sure all of those little particles are gone. Do the same thing over here. Okay, so those weren't too bad. Now, where it gets tricky is the areas where we have eyeshadow primer, because sometimes the mascara will actually adhere to the skin more there. So we're going to start off first with this Q-tip, and we're going to take off the bulk of this. All right, so we're fading it already. And then, because this is where our eyeshadow highlight color goes, we'll go over that in just a moment. But we're going to take off the majority of the mascara there. And again, you're going to want to kind of just do light little rolls over the area, and you can kind of slightly go back and forth. You want to be careful not to press it into the skin. You kind of want to just release it. All right, now here we've got this big old huge mark right here. All right, now one tip is you can take a brow spoolie brush. You do want to make sure that there's no kind of residual mascara or brow powder on there. That would be not a good helpful thing. And you're just going to use this to flake off that mascara. Do you see that? It took off the huge chunks there. All right, then we can go back. I'm going to start with a clean Q-tip here, and we're going to now again just roll over that area and get as much of that darkness off as possible. So I actually keep in my car a little tiny travel thing of Q-tips because I can't tell you how many times I'm on the way somewhere and I forgot to clean up little mascara oops. The next thing we're going to address is the eyebrows. Okay, because we're gonna need to use some powder and I don't wanna mess up the work we do later with eyeshadow. So how do we fix eyebrows that are just a little too strong? Well, there are a couple of things that you can do. So first off, we are going to take a kind of angled fluffy brush. This is just the BK Beauty 205. You can just use any small, slightly fluffy brush, and you can use your setting powder. I like to use a powder that has just a little bit of pigmentation. So I'm going to go into the Lorac Contour Kit and I'm going to go into this banana shade. So you want to go into something that's close to your skin tone. All right. So we are first going to just lightly brush this through the brows, right? And you're going to see it start softening that color. And it's just taking it down ever so slightly. Now you could also do, if you've not powdered your face yet, you could take a little bit of just what's left on your foundation brush and just tap it through your brows, and that will also work. But I have already powdered, I am all finished, so I don't want to have to start all over again. All right, then the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take a flat angled brush and I'm going to go in with more of that powder. And now I'm just going to kind of brush this through kind of the more intense spots in my brow. And then I'm going to take a little more of that and now just redefine the edge of my brow. So this is also a way that if you got kind of off with your brow lining and got a little out of sync with, you know, if one brow looks a little skewed and the other, you can take some just skin tone powder, whatever your skin tone is, just match that in an eyeshadow, or like this is a shade from a contour palette, and there you go. Hopefully you can see the difference of this brow versus this one. So it's a lot less intense. We've dialed it back. Now the other thing you can do first is you can also take a brow spoolie brush, and if you've used a brow powder, I didn't, I used a kind of crayon pencil. Sometimes you can remove kind of the excess brow powder and then go back in with your powder just like we did. So our brows are looking a lot less intense, I think. They look a little more on par with where they should be. And then of course, knowing that that happened, I would make sure that the next day maybe I change out my brow color in the pencil or go in with a lighter hand. All right, so now let's address the eyeshadow issues we've got going on here. All right, so first off, I'm going to start by putting just a little more brow highlight color right here. I'll tell you in a moment why. And so I'm going to just take my Sigma E50 and I'm going to place this here. We've got that little hint of some mascara gray kind of peeking through there. So just want to make sure I've got a good amount of shadow. We're going to cover it even further, but we're going to start here. All right, now I'm going to go back to my shadow. Today I used the Corderosa palette from Sigma, such a pretty palette. And this is the color I have in my crease. Now, if I were to go straight in with this and blend it up, it could get too intense too fast. So I'm gonna find something that's in between this shade and my brow bone highlight shade. So looking at the palette, this is a good kind of in-between shade. So I'm gonna use that. I'm just gonna use the brush that comes in the palette. And I'm going to now just lightly, very lightly brush above that crease color and blend it into the brow bone highlight shade. Now, I've seen a lot of people just use the brow bone highlight shade to blend it out, and that can work, but if you have hooded eyes, you run into the issue of just keeping that hood really bright rather than bringing a little bit of color up here. So we're going to use this to just, again, I'm going right above that orange shade. And this is a shade that is a tone that's in between those two. So look at the difference between this eye and this eye. Nice, right? Much better, I think. All right, and we're gonna do the same thing over here. Now this would be also the same if out on the outer corner, it's just not well blended. Just take a shade that is one shade lighter than what you have deeper in the crease and use that to just blend out the edge there. And then with hooded eyes, what you want to do is you want to make sure you look straight ahead and see if you can see that color. If you can't, then you need to bring it up just a little bit higher. I think we are good now. We've got a nice blend. Now, if you took that color up too high, you would just go back with your brow bone highlight shade, or if you need this to be softer, you can blend the edge of this right here. All right, now let's address this inner corner. So again, nothing wrong with this bright, beautiful gold shade, but it is way too yellow for the look that I'm going for today. So what do? Well, you can do this trick either way. So if it were too silver, you could add gold. If it's too gold, then you want to add something that's cooler, silver leaning. So I used this shade on my lid and it's way too yellow. So I'm gonna go in, you see kind of how this is the opposite tone. I'm gonna go in with just a little bit of this on my finger, and I'm going to pop that right on top of that gold shade. And that is going to just neutralize that gold. You'll still see a little bit of it coming through, but it's much more of a neutral shade right there. Now, another way to do this, and this is something that I will often do, if I get done and my lid shade is a little too orange or a little too pink, I have cream shadows. I love to use cream shadows or a pressed pigment, and I'll go over them. So a couple of options would be this one from Elsie, and this is just a really bright kind of white gold shade. You can see how intense that is, and you can just tap this right over any shadow, and it's not going to make it get clumpy or anything, but it is so intense it will help kind of change the overall tone of whatever you've got going on. I am going to use this in just a moment. I'll show you why, but another option would be these Lorac cream shadows. So this is one that I will commonly use if something is just a little bit, if I want it to be kind of a dialed back kind of pinky orange color. I love this. It kind of adds a little more peach to a look. So anyway, a cream shadow, color pop shadows, those are also great. If you've got like these Metalist shadows from Touch and Soul, something like that, have one of those on hand because you can easily change the tone. Now, if for some reason you have a really dark shade on your lid and you need to dial it back a little bit, the way you can do that is with your inner corner highlight. I don't have any inner corner highlight on at the moment, so I'm going to go in with this Tarte, I don't even know what this one is called, Rainforest of the Sea Volume 3, and this just has some beautiful shimmers. I'm going to go in with this shade right here, and I am just going to tap this on the inner corner And I'm going to bring it over that shade there. So depending on how intense your lid shade is, you can bring this over. And I would suggest not doing a white here, but do something that has just a tiny little bit of like a champagne color, because I think that will help kind of blend that dark shade in just a little better. All right, so I'm liking how the eyebrows are looking, but now got it. Let's just work our way down. We've got these bright pink clown-like cheeks. This is not good. So what do we do here? All right, the first step we're going to do is, and I keep one of these brushes on hand. I've had this forever. This one's Sedona Lace 813. It's a duo fiber brush. It's similar to these from Sigma that I showed earlier. And so what you're gonna do is, with no product on it whatsoever, is you're first going to brush over that area. And what this does is it will take off the top layer of product without disturbing the foundation, because it's duo fiber. It's just really lightweight, so it's not scrubbing the foundation. So already it's much more blended than this cheek. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do that on this side. We're gonna take down that first layer. All right, now my blush is too cool toned, right? So the easiest way to fix that is with some bronzer. Now, if your blush is too warm toned, then you're gonna wanna go over it with a cooler color of blush. But since mine is a little too cool tone, we're gonna go over it. And this is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in Deep. And I am going to use, where's my bronzer brush? Here we go. I'm gonna use the BK Beauty 103. And now I'm going to just take this and I'm going right over the top of that. And then I'm also going to whisk it towards the nose there. And I'm bringing it up onto the back part of the cheek. And there we go. Much more of a warm tone cheek color. It blends better with the eyes. Just ignore the lips for the moment. All right, and we're gonna take this over here. So I always keep my bronzer on hand, because often I will go back and just do this final sweep with the bronzer, and oh, our cheeks look so much better. And then you can go back with your dual fiber brush if you want and just make sure everything is blended in. And then if you have not already added your face highlight, which actually I didn't put any on today, you can go back and add a little highlighter, which will also kind of help. I'm gonna just use the Skin Lights from Revlon, and I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of this right here. And I'm bringing it down just a little as well onto the cheek area. All right, now before we address the lips, let's address the foundation color issue. So in my, let's see, it was a drugstore get ready with me video, I used a foundation that was too light, and I showed you how to deepen that up with your bronzer. Well, what do you do when it's too dark? Now there's a couple things that you can do. One is you can take your foundation all the way onto your décolleté. Personally, I just don't like the feel of foundation all on this area. So I would rather just take a bronzer and bronze up this area to help blend it in. So you see, I don't have a line demarcation. I did blend it, but I didn't take it all the way down. So let's do that. I'm going to use, one of my favorites is either the butter bronzer, or I've got this Tarte one. This is just a mini. I keep this on hand and use this only for my neck and décolleté area. This is something that happens to me often because I have kind of summer shade foundations for when I'm when I have a dark sunless tan on. So quite often my foundation color might be a little bit off. So this is how we're gonna even it up. And then I have this body brush from Bare Minerals. I do recommend keeping a separate brush if you do this often for your kind of body or neck and chest, just because you probably have different oils or different lotions on that area, and it can start clogging up your pores on your face. So we're going to take this, and I am now going to start. I'm going to first start right at the demarcation, and now I'm just going to blend this in. And I love this brush. Another brush that I love to use for this is the Eco Tools. This is the full powder brush. This is another really good one just to use on your neck area. It's good on your face too, but I like using that. And then my ears are actually also a little light, so I'm just gonna take a little bronzer over those areas. Now this bronzer does have a little glow in it, so I kind of like that because it reflects the light a little bit, and I think helps disguise the difference in color as well. Makes your skin look nice and healthy. And there we go. So now we have much more cohesive color. Now the other thing that you can do is, if you have not yet powdered your face and you realize your foundation is too dark, then use a lighter concealer and use it to kind of down the center of your face just to kind of brighten up those areas. Make sure you blend it in really well. But if you have already powdered, the other thing you can do is go into a contour palette like this one from Lorac and use that powder like what we used over our eyebrows. You can use that in the same places, just kind of down the center of the face, to kind of brighten up those areas. And a good contour palette with these lighter shades, these should be pretty well pigmented as well. So they should be able to actually brighten up those areas where you apply it. And again, I'm just gonna do it kind of on the center part of the face. And that also helps just bring everything together. All right, it's time for our lip color. Now, it would probably be best to try and remove most of this color, but for the sake of this video, I'm not gonna remove it all. I'm gonna show you how to fix it just in case you can't remove it all. So we're gonna first take a tissue, and I'm gonna tap off the excess. Now you can see I have a pretty bright lip line still, and I went way out of the lines here and down out of the lines here. So we are gonna take our MAC paint pot. I'm using soft ochre. You wanna use the color that's closest to your skin tone. You can also go in with a concealer. That also works. But I am going to take a lip brush. Where did it go? Here it is. And I'm going to now use this, and part of my lip line, I'm going to actually not go over too much of that line. And we're just going to actually create kind of our shape. So I'm gonna go around the edge, because this line right here wasn't too far outside my lip line. But this one definitely is. So we're gonna use this, and you just wanna go around the edge. All right, we've kind of cleaned up now. Now I'm gonna just take a little bit of powder, my powder brush, tap over that edge where I really got outside the lines. All right, now we're gonna color correct our lip color. That's kind of funny, isn't it? All right, so again, just like with the eyes, you wanna kind of go with the opposite tone of what's going on to what you need. So what I mean by that is we have kind of a bright blue tone pink, and so I'm going to use something that has more orangey neutral gold shades to counteract those cool blue pink tones. Now likewise, if you had an orangey lip that was too warm, you would want to go in with something that was like a cool tone pink and silvery pink tones. So I'm going to start off first with a little bit of lip liner. This is the MAC Spice lip liner, and I'm going to use this to go right over the top and correct my lip line down here. So already that's looking better. And now, because we've got that kind of bright pink stain, we don't want to go with anything too dark. We want to kind of just go with something that's a little lighter. So we are going to start off with a kind of gold toned lipstick first, and then we'll add a little gloss. So I'm going to start off with Gel from MAC, which I can't believe they discontinued this. This was in their permanent line forever. And you can see it's just kind of a frosty gold. So we're going to start off there. And it has a little bit of kind of an orangey peachy twist. So layered over that kind of stained pink color, it actually is so much closer to my top color. And that's more of the look I was going for. And then what you can do, just tap off a little bit of the excess, and then we're gonna go over the top of it with kind of a gold shimmery lip gloss. So I'm gonna use the Bare Minerals 24 Karat gloss, and we're gonna use this just to further warm up the lip just slightly. So if you wanted to cool off your lip color, a great lip gloss is MAC Oyster Girl. That is a really good kind of frosty, pearly, cool pink color, and that does wonders for cooling off a lip color. Okay, so I will pop on the screen here the before and after, and what do you think? I think I am now presentable enough to go out. All of those mistakes have been corrected. And like I said, hopefully you're not making all of these mistakes every day, but when you do make them, now you will know how to fix them. Thank you as always so much for watching. I hope this video was fun and helpful for you. If it was, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye.